Feel free to finish getting some food and drink while we kick off. This is the third or fourth? The third Wildcats in Water ever, but also the third one of this academic year because it's the first time we're doing this. It's so lovely to see this kind of turnout. So I have a couple of announcements before we get to the guest star on today's show. The first is I want to remind everyone that we have these sexy Northwestern Water postcards that we have not only the postcards for you and pens to write with, but you can give them to the magical being over there, Sawyer. Sawyer, wave, yeah. And Sawyer will put a stamp on them and send them to your mom, to your aunt, to your dad, to your college roommate. We'll make sure it gets there, but we want to help communicate with the world through old-fashioned technology called handwriting. Tomorrow is our holiday party, and it is going to be something, that's for sure. A whole bunch more people RSVP'd than we thought. If you have RSVP'd, you should have received the details about, again, remind me where it is, taco bar, that it's, I shouldn't say this too early, but it is an open bar, Wilmette Theater, and one thing that we're asking you to consider is donating to one or both of the two causes that we have up there. There's no obligation at all, but if you do make a donation, you are entered into a lottery for some amazing swag from the three centers who are putting that on. There's a Center for Engineering and Sustainable Research, I get that wrong every time, the Center for Synthetic Biology, and NU Water. So you're welcome to the party. Right after this, we will be having the first meeting of the graduate cluster in water security. So we have six new, like the first wave of the graduate cluster water security people. We'll meet here in front at the end of this incredible Wildcats in Water session. And we started off last Wildcats in Water by everyone going around and introducing themselves. And that's great because we want to build a community. However, a lot of you need to bounce at 12:20 because of classes. So what we'll do is when you ask questions to our speaker, we'll just ask you to introduce yourself, say your name and what you're studying, and that's how we'll build community there. Now we have a couple of kind of other special guest stars before we get to the star of the show, and I'm just going to point out a few of these people, and you could please just we'll start with Malia, who you are, where you at, etc.
Hi everybody, Malia Gertzma. I'm currently the Director of Clean Water and Equity at the Alliance for the Great Lakes, but I came to know Broderick's story when I was on the environmental justice team at the Natural Resources Defense Council, and I was the lead attorney on the petition that was later filed by the Northwestern Clinic, which I helped assist the clinic get across the line.
Yeah, so Malia's one, I think she'll be returning for one of these Wildcats in Water or watering holes, so we can hear more about her incredible work with law and justice and water. We have another sort of out of character person here. This is J. Carl Ganter. Carl, hi, who are you and why are you here?
I should be wearing blue. I'm so excited to be here as part of the Wildcats in Water. I'm a two-time Northwestern grad, undergrad in American Studies, and Medill, investigative reporting. And Medill broke some stories on groundwater contamination down near Gary in East Chicago, Indiana. I founded an organization called Circle of Blue, and so we cover Great Lakes issues from a policy and journalism and storytelling, investigative reporting perspective, cover the nation as well as the world.
And both Carl and Malia are here to ask questions to run ideas past after this session.
Yeah, and check us out.
We should connect too.
We should.
We're down in Centerville, Gay Heights, down next to East St. Louis.
Yeah, and check us out at circleofblue.org, and we do have, for those working on Great Lakes issues, we have a newsletter on the Great Lakes, we have a newsletter on national and global water issues. Great.
And the third person who is here is Jennifer, and I will just sort of stand down, and Jennifer, you want to tell us who you are, why you're here, and then give a few kind words of introduction to Broderick. That would be awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. My name is Jennifer Lackey. I'm a professor of philosophy with a courtesy appointment in the law school here at Northwestern and director of the Northwestern Prison Education Program. So just a few words about NPEP. We are the only top 10 university in the United States that confers bachelor's degrees to people who are incarcerated. And Broderick were you our first student to come home or the second? You and Maria.
Yeah, I was second. Maria was first.
Okay, well, you were our first student from Stateville.
Oh yeah, to hide the
So,
Zoom thing.
You know, when we launched, it was, you know, it has been an ongoing process, and so when we launched, we had no roadmap really for how to continue to provide the degree on the outside. We had, you know, sort of figured it out a bit on the inside, and Broderick was our first student to come home who was released from prison, and came home, and then he was, you know, really he was blazing the trail for how to be a Northwestern student who had been released from incarceration. And it was not easy in all sorts of ways, navigating the prison and the campus and reentry and the trauma that people bring home from incarceration. And so I can't say enough. I mean, I have a million things going on, and I was like running over here because to be able to support Broderick in anything he does is truly an honor. So he graduated in December of last year. He went through the on-campus ceremony, and he is a therapist now, providing mental health support for people who should have shown up for him. You know, people for the kinds of young men who I think Broderick is ideally situated to kind of support. For those people who are interested in getting involved in NPEP, Sarah said that, you know, I should just mention a few words. You can, Jennifer Lackey, you can just like Google me and drop me an email, and I'll put you in touch with the right people. Michelle Paulson is NPEP's deputy director. She also could help you get involved. Yeah. The ship doesn't run without Michelle. Every time she talks about possibly retiring, I get on my knees and start crying. So it's true. So if you are at all interested in working with your incarcerated classmates, either on the inside or the outside, feel free to get in touch with me. But yeah, just, you know, I will leave the rest of the time for Broderick to talk about his amazing journey and, you know, just the remarkable work he's doing now. I guess we should have
You want me? Oh. It's probably warm up here anyway.
Would you rather sit or stand?
Want me to stand up?
That would be great.
Yeah. Ooh.
Should we turn this off, the projector off?
Nah, I'll be all right. I need something to lean on. I can stand right here?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, well, my name is Broderick Hollins. I was in cohort 2. I graduated in 2024. And I wrote the paper. It was just an assignment, really. Professor Young, she asked us to write a paper about water and in prison. So I just tried to get an A. I didn't know it was gonna get this big, but I'm always, when I write, whatever I do, I put my all in it, and I worry about the consequences later, because that kind of like started a whole lot of ill feelings toward me and Stateville. But I like that attention, so it's nothing. Because like I say, a lot of my friends were drinking that water, and that water got me sick. They kept saying it was COVID compilation, but my skin started getting dark in places. The shower water was spiky. Drinking the water, it tasted like onions, and it had an odor to it, and it was like brownish. So, but they were saying that it's nothing to you. They even had like people from Springfield come down there and say, try not to drink too much water. So that's another time I got in trouble because I had asked them and they ignored me, like, how you know what's too much water? And they said, you'll find out, and that didn't sit right with me. So I'm always stand my ground and fight for, like, me, of course, and other people's, because that was kind of bogus, and they knew the water was brown, because they was drinking, you know, like bottled water, and they didn't even wash their hands in the water that we was drinking. So that's what made me like want to write about, you know, Stateville water, because it was bad. A lot of people got sick. A lot of people it's like my mother knew something was wrong, because my mug shot had my skin looking different. So when I come home, I had to go get a physical, and I had to get a shot that day in my navel because of all the lead I had. So I could have been blind, could have lost my voice. It's a lot of like medical issues I could have faced if I would have stayed in jail. So I'm so blessed. My grandmother had a whole lot of faith. Yesterday her birthday, God bless her soul. So I'm glad she had a whole bunch of faith because she told me she'll be here when I get home. So she gave me 5 more months before she left. So she told me it's gonna be all right. She knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong because I was like darker. But you gotta ask the so-called doctors at Stateville. They just saying there's COVID compilations and all that. So that's what I've been through, and that's why I wrote the paper. Like I said, I just tried to get a good grade, but as I was writing, Professor Young kept saying, like, this is good, this is good. Do it again. I say, this is good, but do it again. But so I did it again. Me and my tutor at the time, Adriana, who she could have been here. She wanted to be here, but her work schedule was crazy. She in Champaign now, so we did it again. I think we wrote that paper like 3-4 times before you was like, this gonna start something. But because I didn't get it at first, Adriana was trying to like maybe she sees something. I said, man, she said it was good, so I'm just gonna keep it like this. I'll take whatever grade it is. But it was fun doing it because I was trying to expose the truth about Stateville and their water. And you know, now they shut down because of the same thing. So I feel good about that. That's all I got.
That was really good. Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions if you don't mind, Broderick.
Okay.
Unless we want to open it up to other people. Oh, great. Well, this is in fact a student-run thing, even though I keep talking, so I'm going to pass it down. Well, okay, so I'll just give a little bit of context. In the biocultural perspectives on water class that I teach, an op-ed is a mandatory assignment.
Yes.
And it's much easier to say good job done than it is to say good job, let's see draft number 463. Yeah. So my many drafts that I will do with all of you who take my class are out of love and out of impact. And I will say that one of the things that I have really appreciated about Broderick is that there's nothing scarier at points than to speaking truth to power. And when people don't want to hear the stuff that you have to say and you say it anyway, even when you are in a vulnerable position. And I mean, Broderick had a lot of courage to go ahead and make this public. So that's the context, that's the love. I want to hear a little bit more from you if you don't mind sharing. So like, what was it like when you saw your paper in the Chicago Tribune? And what were some of the things that were said? What did you learn? What did you do differently? What was that like? What's it like to be famous?
Man, it wasn't. It was a lot because I was still on parole. So they started like threatening me a lot more. I got a lot more cases thrown on me. They were trying to scare me. They couldn't do nothing because I was on house arrest. So all these saying y'all saying I did and things, scare tactics. But when I saw it in the Tribune, a bunch of my like guys I grew up with, they read it. So we from the south side of Chicago. We don't think about water. We just drink it. So we don't know nothing. We just either jump in the pool, play with the fire hydrant, but everybody started caring about water. Since I got into the Tribune, and then I started thinking about water more. Like, I don't like this water. It tastes funny. So like I started acting like I knew everything about water. Because they didn't know. They just saw me in the paper, so they gonna believe me. So we ain't drinking that water no more. So it was fun like that. But as far as like me and the whole ideal, whatever they name it, IDOC, yeah, they ain't like that at all. But you know, it's shut down now. So now, you know, my guys ain't got and my sisters, you know, we got a NPEP for the women too. They drinking probably the same water, but Stateville was just bad. So they just need to be exposed, and they threatened to violate me plenty of times because of this, but I didn't care.
I don't know if most people in the room are familiar with Stateville being shut down. So do you want to speak to that a bit more, and maybe the role that this might have played in that happening?
Okay, well, I hope it did play a major role in it. I wouldn't mind. I hope it did play a major role in it because, you know, a lot of people's, you know, suffered in there. Then one of our brothers, B-Way, passed away up in there. So hope it did. I hope I did play a part in it. But State Field shut down because it was like 100+ years old. It was too old. It was falling apart. They got buildings like collapsing and ceilings bad. They had big rats, rodents up in there. So they just treat you. They dehumanize you a lot. We in there with rats. Skunks was in there. Roaches, of course, because that's the old building. Big old water bugs. So it was a lot going on up in there. So it was just bad. Not only are we like living like that, we was drinking like that. We already don't know what we eating. So we don't know what we eat. We don't know what we drinking, and we living with like rodents. So that's Stateville for you.
Can I ask a question? You
Of course.
mentioned you didn't think about what was in the water before. What
Right.
was the process like of knowing that the water was wrong to finding out what was wrong with the water and that it was lead poisoning? What was that experience for you?
I knew water didn't taste like onions. So I knew something was different. It had like a real onion taste. So I kept complaining, like maybe this is the cell or maybe it's the thing. So we'll wash the whole like faucet out, trying to, maybe it's that. Kept tasting like onions. So I knew something wasn't right with that water. And then it was coming out like brownish. So we was thinking, we was giving them the benefit of the doubt because this where we live at right now. So maybe it's the light. But then we'll put our white shirts into the wash and it's coming back out, tan. So that and the taste of onions was kind of like, no, this ain't right. So then we'll buy water from commissary and it's fulfilling, it's different. So that's when I was kind of like, yeah, I ain't never drinking this water again. But we got to eat with that water. That's how we make our noodles. So it's a lose-lose for us in there. So survival of the fittest.
Did you know about lead poisoning beforehand, or like did you ever consider that it was lead in the water?
No, never. I mean, I heard about it. Growing up on the south side, you hear about lead, but it's in the paint. You'll never think it's in the water. So I ain't really think none of it. And then I was always the type that I could get over everything. But like when my skin started like getting dark in places, and then the shower water felt like needles, like something ain't right. But they had to take a new mud shot. They said I changed my identity. So that's how bad it got. So I had to take a new mud shot. Then when I got all sisters, so they noticed everything. So once they noticed, they told my mother, so my mother get to calling up at Stateville. And the only thing they were saying, he had COVID. So that's what I went through now.
You have a question?
So I remember one of the toughest things in writing the petition was this question of how do you get information and data to the outside world from inside the prison, and how we relied on the few ways that people who were incarcerated had to communicate with people outside.
Mm-hmm.
Were you aware after you were released and when you were writing all this that there were all these other people who were in the prisons who were trying to get similar information out?
Mm-hmm.
Because there were so many people who, like you, tried to get the information to us.
Mm-hmm.
We had to figure out how to collect it and believe it and like put the pieces together to see what it was. So I'm just wondering, like now, do you know that there were all those people?
Absolutely.
Who were like you and who were trying to work towards the same thing, and how does that help you feel about going out and putting your name and your story out in this paper?
It strengthens me, knowing that like my brothers and sisters of the struggle felt the same way. But once you inside you, they limit that, or they try to intimidate you. They try to intimidate me, but I'm kind of like, I mean, you can't scare nobody who fearless and who got a purpose. And then I'm like this. My grandmother always told me, take advantage of your advantages. So if I got an opportunity to write something that's gonna get some attention, I'm gonna write something that's gonna get some attention. And you asking about water, and this is what it's about, water. So now I did my assignment, but it happened how it happened.
What emotions did you
Take it
Oh,
away.
oh, sorry. Yes. I'm Claire. I'm a PhD student in environmental engineering, and I'm also a wave maker here at NU Water. But I was wondering, what emotions did
did you feel when you found out it was lead poisoning? Because I feel like you knew something was wrong, so you figured out something was wrong, but at the same time, right, you were obviously upset, or I guess, I just want to hear what your emotions were with that.
I mean, when they told me that I was lead poisoning, I didn't think none of it until they got the whispering. So when you got people whispering, you thinking why y'all whispering and that? Am I dying? Because my voice got raspy. So a lot of crazy things, negative things going through my head because I never experienced this. I never experienced that. So I just felt then once they told me I had lead poisoning, I'm thinking oh, well, that ain't that bad. This growing up on the south side, we have all that. But when they came back with this big old horse needle, I'm thinking nah, that's something totally different. This ain't no lead poison. So then they said they got to go in my navel. I'm thinking what goes in there? What is the navel? It was all type of crazy thing, but that's the direct line to the bloodstream. So that's what kind of helped me. Then I had to go back twice a month for about 3 months, and then it was going every month just to see it disappear. But yeah, it was the whispering, because I guess they didn't want to tell me, and plus I was fresh out, and they probably didn't know my mind state or how I would react. But it was crazy and scary, and it's kind of hard to scare me, but when they got the whispering, and I know something wrong, I thought I was dying, and it was just lead poison.
Did the state help support you in the treatment?
No.
What was that process like?
No, the state actually tried to give me some more cases. So they ain't try to help me do nothing. But as I was going through the whole lead poison thing, I had to go through a whole nother murder thing. They started saying I murdered somebody in Buffalo Grove. I never heard of Buffalo Grove. I thought Buffalo was in New York. So I'm telling them I can't even leave the state how I'm going to Buffalo. But it was a lot. It was a lot. And then as I was going through that, I had a whole identity theft type thing going on. Dude was saying it was me. So it was a lot. It was a lot, but I overcame everything. But the state ain't do nothing but just try to make it hard for me.
Hi, my name's Priya. I'm a global health studies major, and so I'm very interested in what you were saying about what the doctors were telling you while you were there, and then how the doctors kind of treated you after you, at your first health checkup. So I was wondering if you could maybe expand on that. I know you had mentioned they just told you it was COVID. How often did you see these doctors, and were they saying the same thing every time? Were there other parts of your health that maybe they were addressing that was ignorant of the lead poisoning? And then after you left the jail, how was your treatment reshaped? And were the doctors better? How were they treating you after?
Okay, so the doctor said at Stateville, I did have COVID. I was in the ICU for 27 days and in the infirmary for another 33 days. So I did have it really, really bad. So everything they were saying was COVID related. It was COVID related. So nobody knew about it. COVID, I ain't know nothing about it. I just know that I was in the hospital. And then you start seeing your body feeling different, then your skin differently. Like I said, I got sisters, so they know everything about skin. So they was telling me something wrong. I'm thinking ain't nothing wrong with me, just ignorant of it. So that's all they kept saying when I was going in. They didn't stop stop taking the call passes. Cause I'm man, I'm losing my voice. I'm not hollering. There's no reason for me to be hoarse. So I don't speak loud. I only speak when spoken to, really. But so it was a lot going on in my head, but they stopped taking me in. But because I had COVID, they had to. But they weren't saying it was lead poison at all. They were saying it was COVID related. So when I finally got out, I got my first physical, and that's when they were saying it was severe. I'm thinking severe is bad, right? It was crazy. And then they had to do it that day, the needle. It was a lot going on. So, but then they basically, after they realized that I wasn't going probably lose my mind or something, because I think they was a little nervous, which rightfully so. I was fresh out of prison, a maximum prison at that, and I had some size to me, so I didn't want to say nothing crazy. But once they like they knew I wasn't gonna do nothing crazy. They started telling me more and more and more because I was asking. I ask questions, a lot of questions, because I don't know a lot of things, so I ask. So then they start like breaking things down, like, man, you're gonna be all right, you're gonna get your voice back. Like you ain't, it's good you ain't lose your sight. That's how bad it was, because that's what led a person normally take away first, they were saying, it's the sight, but they treated me like a human when I got out.
You were mentioning going to commissary to get bottles of water, and I remember a big part of what we went through was trying to explain in writing how much access you did or did not have to water, but also to toilets, to showers, like the whole setup in the prison itself. Could you maybe describe a little bit more like what you had in your cell versus what was available on the floor versus what you could get in commissary to kind of paint for others how like basically that there were no options
Right.
other than what you got at commissary, and even that was very limited.
That was very limited. We only could get like 2 cases of water, which is like 48 waters. But they was charging us like, at the time, I don't know what they charging now. I've been out for a minute now. Back then it was like 77 cents for like a regular size water. Yeah.
I think it's, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but how frequently do you go to commissary and how
Oh,
regular is
yeah.
it? I mean, that gives some context.
Yeah, we go to commissary. We supposed to go weekly, but we went once a month. So you got like, 48 waters that gotta last, like 30 days estimate, like 30 days. So and then we go, they give us yard. I work out, so I drink. So it was crazy. I was like asking other people, I buy y'all all these sweets for y'all water, but they needed their water too, so it was hard to just get water. But like, yeah, we go once a month to commissary to get those waters, and it's just crazy. And as far as like the cell, you got like the sink and the toilet is one thing. So if the water coming out bad to drink, it's coming out bad like everywhere. So, and then you got like your little bed, and then you got all your the vents that all the rodents come in at. So we got water, you got like your little commissary, but you got to protect it from the rats and roaches, because they getting in the box. So it's real dehumanizing, and you get like mad when you just open your box and see like, your cookie been eaten. Yeah, I was getting real irritated. So I kind of stayed in trouble, in Stateville.
Did Stateville have the exploding toilet problem too?
Yeah, it'll blow. Well, I might not blow up, but it'll back up and just shoot out and just go all on your floor. So
Right next to your bed.
yeah, you got the bed right here, and the toilet like maybe right here. So you getting all that shooting out, coming on your thing. Then you got your commissary box on the floor. So the what we call the boo-boo water, it's all on your stuff. So now I'm thinking like, man, I don't want none of this, because it got, it's a toilet, and it's 100-year-old toilet. You got like about 1,000 guys boo-boo. It's just like it's a mind thing. It was you smell it, and it wasn't just one toilet. Every time the toilet blow up, it's at least 3 that's hooked up to the same like line. So that's 3 toilets going off, and it could be more, but it was bad. The water was bad, and that was coming out brown. So in the dough, we thinking it's doo-doo.
And the showers too?
The showers was brown too. And then it was either when they was working, I was just gonna say that, yeah. When they was working, the water come out brown, and it come out real sharp. So if you got like sensitive skin, you're gonna see where the water hit at. And it's either gonna be hot, real hot, or gonna be real cold. It do not feel good, never, when it work.
And you said that the COs typically drink bottled water and they wash their hands with bottled water.
Yeah.
So how did you feel, and when you were being forced to drink the water and use the water for showering and washing your hands, and you were saying that not even them would use the water?
I mean, you feel
when
like
did you start noticing that?
I did, and I mean, I got a few staph assaults. Not proud of it, but you do things in my face, knowing we can't do nothing about it. Well, you think we can't do nothing about it. So I don't really, like I said, I don't really care about trouble when it's a righteous cause. But you're not finna just drink this water in my face knowing I can't drink it. Then you doing like this, having somebody pour water in your hands. Like you playing. You playing, but we got yard tomorrow, so I'm gonna see if you still gonna play like that. But that's another topic. But they do that. They'll take you there. You know, they just disrespectful. That's what they do. So that's why I never cared about, you know, how they felt about me.
What about once the contamination was announced in 2020? Did that change the commissary situation or availability of bottled water at all?
Nah, they just came back with a bag of water that we didn't know where it come from. Like a big old see-through bag, or they just poured on. We got to have bottle. You ain't got no bottles, you ain't gonna get no water. So that's all they did. Just came. We all, maybe it was each gallery had a big bag of water, or it was just a whole like D house. I don't know how it went, but it was a big bag of water. They'll just fill up a couple bottles for us. That was it.
I don't think Stateville ever admitted that it had a systemic lead problem in the water. Is that right? I mean, there's an ongoing lawsuit over it now.
Yeah, but it's 100. The building was falling apart.
Yeah, they shut it down.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, you know, you said your friends kind of look to you as this water expert now.
Yeah.
Do you, and you have a job where you're counseling people, otherwise, do you, in your head, kind of looking forward, what do you want to be able to do with this experience? Is there anything else that you would want to bring to others like you or to people in your community? Or?
I always tell people, especially the guys that I like talk to, it's like, man, just don't be scared to speak. You know, like we got a voice for a reason. Like some people may be like scared to speak or don't know how to speak or just whatever. But if nobody speak, nobody never know nothing. So all this was going on and people didn't know nothing about it until like somebody had to get in trouble for it. But that's neither here nor there. But I always tell guys that what water do to the body, with good water, not that water. Good water do to the body, you know, it's good for the body. It's good for like life in general. So it's everything. So just drink water, hydrate, all that good stuff. So I speak about that a lot more, and then I tell people not to like drink the backyard water, you know, because I know a little bit more about it now, and the fire hydrants, all that good stuff. So, but that's what I talk. I don't know like the whole Lake Michigan, but I heard it's like fresh water, right? Yeah,
Heard
yeah.
water.
So yeah, I just get in that water.
Does anyone else have a question?
I was going to say, I thought it was really profound the way you said the water changed your identity. And it's a national problem. I mean, we're all familiar with Flint, Michigan. That's one of the first questions I get asked when I travel. I said, oh, Michigan, Flint. What do you think, that was, when was Flint? That was what, 2013, 2012? A while ago, right? Yeah, but I mean, with the discovery, but again, it was a tough one to come to terms with. And picking up on, how do you think that we and you can play a role in educating these kind of, we'll call them either siloed or separate issues, because, oh, it's prison, it's lead, it's just there. Oh, it's Flint, it's just there.
Can I tag on to that? So, it was surprising to some people. It's not surprising to basically anyone who looks like Broderick, who lives in the communities that Broderick lived in. And I think that's what we were trying to say too. Like, I knew what was happening in the prisons without even having to look through the information, because I had worked in East St. Louis, right? So I would say to that, like, there's a complete disconnect in this country between communities that have functioning water systems and those that don't, and all the other things that come with not having a functioning water system and why that is. And I think to that question, like, do you have any thoughts on how, not just to reach people who are your friends who come from the places that you live in where you share that common experience, but how to bring that to people who have no idea that this is going on?
You can't.
Right up the road, right in their own state.
Yeah. I would say with me, you can't, don't worry about the stigma like of me being incarcerated, because me being incarcerated got a lot of this out there. So if you would never experience it, you don't know, or you'll keep it closed in. You never experience it, or it ain't hit you hard. Like when I be talking to my clients, they all go accepting me because I lived their life. I've been in prison. I did the whole thing. I did the whole 360. I talk about how, like NPEP changed my life. I talk about the new experience, me being here. So if you never experienced it, you'll never understand the whole thing. So when people's like don't know about the water thing or how it is up in there in the different states, in different neighborhoods, the different water, the different trees, you won't know until you just go there. So you can't be afraid of the stigma of you being this so-called bad guy or whatever. Just accept it and then get your point across.
I just want to add on to that, Broderick. I think one of the things that, not working in spaces where there is, kind of constant water issues, we moved out of, after the federal judge ruled that everyone had to move out of state, but we're now at Sheridan Correctional Center. And one of the first things we did because of the trauma, there's Broderick's lead poisoning, but it was a constant thing. All of our students were disrupted and moved out of state because they had no running water. And then there were issues in 2023 where we as a community just donated tens of thousands of bottles of water because there was none in the commissary. And it was summer and parents were calling me and they were like, they're handing out 5 bottles of water on Monday the last week. So the kinds of issues all the time happening. So when we moved to Sheridan, one of the first things we did is we had grant money and we bought filtered water fountains in the education building and in the cell house and these sorts of things. The students will tell us immediately, like we're getting low, and we did like Thanksgiving gratitudes just last month. And one of the things that the students wrote is, I'm grateful for clean drinking water.
Yeah.
So it is just such a constant issue in people's lives. I think that when we tend to think of water issues, we tend to think of somewhere else. And, Broderick and his classmates and, people, across the state are living with this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not to get political, but one of the things that I learned working on this was that all of Illinois' prisons are state-owned and state-run. We don't have any private prisons in the state. So technically, the governor and the legislature could do something about the conditions in the prisons, all of them.
Yeah.
But they haven't. And I'm wondering kind of where that sits with you in terms of, the people who supposedly represent us, people who are supposedly progressive leaders. Nobody has recognized this, let alone solved the problem.
Yeah, we not human in their eyes. Cause you know about this, you got the power to fix this, but you worried about putting up extra speed cameras, like stuff like that. Like we got like people dying in Stateville because of the heat. God bless his soul, and the illness with Katrina. Then you got like me with the lead pool with the water. The water they just don't care about us in there. You go to jail, it's like death. That's like a step away from death because you just don't exist no more. Like they dehumanize you, they steal everything from you, they just don't care. And you got a position, you could give us water. And you ain't even cleaning, you ain't doing clemency, you ain't doing nothing. You just got this position because it looked good, now you want to run for president. It's just a stepping stone. We just like helping him get where he want to get. I don't really respect politicians because they ain't doing enough for us.
Last question.
You talked about how NPEP changed your life, and I was wondering if you wanted to talk more about that experience and what your experience was like at Northwestern, and how that kind of gave you more confidence maybe to write this op-ed and to deal with the backlash that you were getting afterwards, and just kind of the role Northwestern played and where you are, and maybe just a closing statement on what you want us to know about you and what we can do as a group after leaving here today.
I would definitely say like join the NPEP team if it's a good team. We have fun a lot, especially community hours. And I say it changed my life because it really did. Like I was in SIG when I put the paperwork in, and I have no idea how Ms. Lackey got me out for the interview because I was in solitary confinement. But I'm here now, and because of this degree I got, I was able to get to the position I got as a therapist. So everything I've been through, I'm bringing purpose to it. So I have that. That's why I put it tattooed in my bloodstream because it changed my life. So anything I get tattooed on me, it's forever. It's in my blood now. So the NPEP in my blood now. That's why it changed my life because I think differently now. I got an education now, and I don't look for the drama. I represent it well, and I don't want no type of negative things around it. So I just watch the people who I with, I hang out with, like Daryl. He became my brother, and he in NPEP too. So we always together. He just had to work today. He was gonna take off. I'm like, it's Christmas. So, but them the guys that like I hang out with now, and the women. Was all NPEP. Them my friends now, so I don't really hang out on we still from the south side. We still go through there, and it's gonna always be with us. But we don't indulge in it no more because we done with that. So that's how it changed our life.
Well, I will say that NPEP also changed my life. So there are sort of two closing thoughts I wanted to share with everyone. And the first is I wanted to maybe even apologize because when I started teaching this class, Biocultural Perspectives on Water Insecurity, yes, I'm plugging it right now.
That was a plug.
I was just totally talking about all these issues with water that are experienced here, there, and everywhere. But little did I know they were being experienced right in this classroom. And it took me, I'm not a quick learner. I eventually will learn. And suddenly I saw that water insecurity was everywhere. It wasn't just in what they were drinking, but in the ability for hygiene, in the ability for dignity, in the sounds of water pounding on a metal sink can be deafening. And water is power. And we say that at the level of the country, but we can see it at the level of the individual. So I kind of have to say at the same time, sorry I came at you guys so hard with water insecurity. But thank you for teaching me so very much about the world. I really can't say enough good things about NPEP. I can't say enough good things about the students in NPEP. And I would encourage all of you to get involved if it somehow fits in your schedule. So this is meant to be a mingling thing. I want to big time appreciate Broderick. Let's give it up for him. He said he's willing to sign autographs on the op-eds that are flying around. I suggest you take him up on it. But feel free to please talk to any of the people who are here, talk amongst yourselves, and we will see you in 2026 when we will have another
Wildcats and Water, but we're not sure exactly
TBD.
what we're gonna do.
The second.
It'll be a surprise. Yes, the second Tuesday of the month. I think it's the 11th.
13th or somewhere around there.
January 13th. It might be Darren.
Pressure. Okay, well, thanks again, Broderick.
Definitely put him on the spot.
I have to show you something, too. Look at this.